My name is Daniel Jester. I'm Chief Evangelist for Creative Force, and I'm here with you to share our release notes for Sprint 72. You may have noticed that we decided to do something a little different for this release, and that's because we here at Creative Force are very excited to share some new features related to a brand new Capture One integration. Prior to this release, photographers and digitechs on set would use our application Kelvin as sort of a sidecar application to Capture One. Images would come into Capture One, get processed out, and handed off to Kelvin. The images coming into Capture One would be named arbitrarily because Creative Force handles all of the file naming on the back end. The only problem with that is if for some reason you needed to tie that information back to the original raw file, it wasn't particularly easy to do that. And we also know that photographers generally feel a little bit more comfortable with their raw images being named what they're supposed to be named in the capture session. With this update, you can now set Kelvin to pass your desired name through to the next capture naming function in Capture One. So let's jump into Kelvin and take a look at what these features look like. So here I am in Kelvin, and you can see a new addition to the Kelvin window is this Capture One icon right here. If I click this icon, you can see that Kelvin is connected to my instance of Capture One version 20 that I'm running. I can disconnect from that if I needed to, and I can also click this gear icon and it will take me to the Kelvin settings dialog box and to the active window for the Capture One settings. I have Next Capture Naming enabled. Next Capture Naming looks an awful lot like the Next Capture Naming function in Capture One itself. You've got a format, and you can use tokens to fill in that format. So we've got the name token, a dot, and the 4-digit counter. So whatever we put into the name value, and a dot, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever the counter is up to at that point. The difference here is we can pass information from Creative Force to this name token in Capture One. And we can actually use tokens for product properties within Creative Force. We can pass this information to Capture One without doing any extra steps beyond what we normally need to do, which is scan a product into Kelvin. You scan the product into Kelvin, Kelvin passes that information for that product through to Capture One, and all of our raw files come in with this name format that you see here, the product code dot 4-digit counter. And just to make it really clear and really obvious, I'm going to go ahead and put just a text thing in here. Creative Force demo dash product code into that name token, and we're going to hit save. So I'm so excited about this new Capture One integration that I'm on set and I actually forget to scan the product in. I jump over to Capture One and I just get started shooting. Full disclosure here, I am not in a studio environment, so you're going to get some awkward portraits of me instead of pictures of nice product. So you can see that in this image came in, it actually comes in the name where the name token would be, it says unknown scope. And this is so that Creative Force can warn you when these images come into Kelvin, hey, these images were captured and we don't know what product code they belong to. So rather than passing the information from the token in the settings that we saw, it pastes in their unknown scope, and that's a great indicator that, hey, you may have forgotten to activate a product in the Kelvin window. So if we jump back to Kelvin and we enter our product code to begin shooting, now we have an active product inside Kelvin. We could jump back to Capture One, and as we start shooting, you can see that our naming came through just as we anticipated, Creative Force demo dash and the product code, followed by a 4-digit counter. That is not where the Capture One integration ends. Also in this release, a function that we call reversible cropping. You can apply a crop in Capture One, and instead of having Capture One apply that crop permanently to the image when it processes the files, it can pass that crop information along with the entire image to Kelvin. If for some reason you needed to change the crop later on down the line, you're still able to do that. So let's jump back into Capture One. We've got this great portrait of me in my home studio, and I'm going to show you exactly how reversible cropping works. So the first thing I want to let you know is that for this to work, you need to go into your process recipe, and under the process recipe menu here, you want to go to adjustments, and you want to make sure that crop is set to ignore crop. we can go back over here, and now we can crop really whatever we want to do. So to make this really obvious for you to see, I'm going to get really tight and uncomfortable here right on my head. And we're just going to make that the crop. And we're going to jump back over to Kelvin. We're going to process these images out of Capture One and jump back over to Kelvin. And as these images come into our monitored output folder, you will see that it's letting us know, Kelvin is letting us know, hey, there's a crop applied to this. This is what it looks like. And it's not too late for us to undo this. We go up to this crop menu in Kelvin, and you can see that Kelvin gives us the opportunity to totally undo that crop if we so choose. And lastly, for this release, we're releasing a backup assistant in Kelvin settings. This allows Kelvin to actually take the raw files in the Capture One session and back them up to a network location of your choosing. And what's more, in true Creative Force fashion, you can use any of the property tokens available in the Creative Force platform to dynamically create file structures for your backup settings. We are very excited about these features, and we think that many of our customers will be too. Our team is ready and waiting to help you and answer any questions that you have in implementing some of these new features. And with that, we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next sprint release.